So I'm going to be honest with y'all. By the time I post this will have a topic, a title. I'm sure it'll all come together, but I don't really have a topic right now as we're starting. And it's not because I don't have a set list of topics, because as we all have realized, I'm a very prepared person. It just, I don't feel compelled to talk about anything on my list today. You know, I have topics about like confidence and mental health and, just things that I feel like other people want to hear. But I don't know if I want to talk about those things right now. Last week, that episode, the depression episode, if you haven't checked it out, you should check it. Oh, I guess I should give an introduction. Hi, welcome to the Personally Yours podcast, hosted by me, Anjuli. And last week, I put out an episode talking about my depression story. And I promise this podcast is not just all sad, but it's Mental Health Awareness month in May, and I felt compelled to tell that story. And, I had a very loose outline for that, but I mostly was talking stream of consciousness, and it felt really good. It was the first time I've ever hit a 30-minute podcast episode mark, which was my goal. I wanted to do 30 minutes plus for each podcast episode. And also, I got a lot of good, positive feedback. It's actually not my best performing episode, at least on YouTube. Mine is my self-esteem video, but it was the video I got the most feedback from, actually like my actual followers on Instagram and on TikTok. So I feel really good about that episode. And I'm like drilling, I'm going through my head, just trying to figure out how do I keep up with that. But I also just don't want to keep talking about sad things like that, because I don't want this to be a sad podcast. I've always wanted to be a source of light. I really want to uplift and create a community of people that, like I always say with this podcast, I wanted to create a community for people like me who didn't feel like we had community when we needed it most. And so I'm trying to record today's podcast episode about 5-6 different times with about several different topics, and nothing just feels right. Nothing is sticking. And I think part of that is because so much of what I've done thus far on the internet has been so structured, so based upon a formula. I'm trying so hard to fit a formula of what they say your career, your presentation on the internet should be like. But let me just also say that has spilled into my real life. That has been who I've been at my core since I was old enough to really make decisions on my own, because I grew up with the idea that, don't embarrass the family. And everything you do, people are going to know about, because I'm from a small, small town, and also the only Black family in that town. And so everything I did also had to be better. And there wasn't a lot of room for mistake, and there wasn't a lot of error. I was also the oldest child, so I really had to be an example for everybody. And I, right now, am at a point in my life where I'm trying to just let go and trust the process, and trying to just kind of let be what will be. Because, like I mentioned last podcast episode, I am finally healthy enough to let myself just exist and not look at myself through a lens of just constant analytical, is what I'm doing normal? Is this right? Is this okay? I don't want to hurt people. And these are things that, yes, you should always have in the back of your mind, but to operate from that standpoint always, I think, made me a very rigid person, made me it made it very hard for me to open up. It made it very hard for me, and not just online, but in real life. I'm talking about real life here too. It made it hard for me to open up. It made it hard for me to exist. I was constantly basically walking around with a stick up my ass, because I was just trying to be so perfect. I was trying to do everything the absolute right way, because if I so much as failed, it would be letting everybody down. And I don't want to do that. And I did not want to do that. I think I'm having a hard time with recording this podcast episode today, because for once I'm kind of just like, I don't want to talk about these pre-made topics I put together with all the research and all the SEO and all of the blah, 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 blah. I don't want to do that. I genuinely just want to connect and talk like we're a couple of friends. So I hope that you're okay with, this being like a little phone call. Like I said, these are podcast episodes. So you are not obligated to look at me. You turn me on in the background and do what you need to get done. And I will just sit here and talk your ear off, So life lately has actually been really good. I hate that I keep referencing last week's podcast episode, but I really think it was like the starting of me going, you know what? It's just time for me to show up now. And there are people that are going to not like me, and that's okay. Because at this point, I've worked really hard for the person that I am. I like me now, all right? And I don't care if people don't like me. So last week I mentioned that I am finally at a point where I feel healthy enough to make progress in my life. My life really isn't any better than it's certainly not any worse, but it's not any better than, my life has always been. But I am a lot better. And so I've really just been allowing myself to just go out into the world and exist and make decisions based on my impulses, on my intuition, and really trusting in my intuition at this point. Because I used to get a lot of, I guess an example would be I'd get a lot of social paralysis because I had a really big friend falling out, maybe about 4 years ago, and it devastated me to my absolute core because, I was losing my group that I was hanging out with pretty much weekly. They were my friends, they were my support system. But I also got told some pretty ugly things about myself. Like, I got called a narcissist and all of that ugly stuff. And I really, really, really internalized it. I really felt like I was a terrible person. And whether or not their assessments of me are true, that's not what's important here. The important part was I was so scared to ever go through hurting people like that ever again. I never wanted to hurt people the way that I did in that moment. And I never wanted to be hurt, to be honest, after that moment. And so I became a complete recluse. And every interaction I had with anybody, I would analyze it before I'd even do it. And then by the time I'd get ready to do it, it was almost too late. It was like there would be a person standing in front of me. And I'd be like, okay, we're going to say hi. But if we say hi, we can't shout, we can't scream. We have to say it softly. If we're going to say hi, you cannot be too abrasive. Maybe don't whatever you do on accident where you're accidentally flirty, don't do that. Maybe just kind of just, walk over and look straight ahead and then don't make eye contact because that's too sexual. Just stand next to them and say hi and then let them control the rest of the conversation so that maybe you can get a feel for what they want. And I would have all of these thoughts, and then by the time I'd finished a thought and stand up to go say hi, the person would be gone. Okay, I was so paralyzed by this idea that I was a terrible person. And I did a lot of work since then. I've released myself a lot of that. By the way, not a diagnosed narcissist, so that's great. But I did a lot of work, and I'm trusting myself that I'm not a terrible person, that I will hurt people because people hurt people. That is a normal thing. Even the people that love you, they will hurt you. And even the people you love, you will probably hurt them. That's just life. We cannot be perfect. That doesn't mean you don't try, And I have just let go of this idea in public that I can't go up to people. And, and it's not to say I'm running around going up to every person and saying hi, but I am just letting myself go, you know what, this person seems really interesting and I want to invite them to come sit at my table. And it doesn't mean we're going to be best friends immediately, but, I can take that first step and let them sit with us, and maybe they'll sit with us and I won't like them. Cool, that's fine. I don't have to like everybody, and not everybody has to like me. That is okay. But it's just nice that I am allowing myself to just be free for the first time. I'm not overthinking my interactions. It's just not a thought. And I don't want to say brain empty, no thoughts, but my brain has been very full for a very, very long time. So in comparison to where my brain once was, yes, brain empty, no thoughts. We're just vibing and moving. And I trust myself to do that from a place of authenticity now, because before I couldn't be authentic because I was so worried about hurting people. So I trust myself to do that from a place of authenticity, but from also a place of like, I trust myself that I'm going to do this as good as I'm going to do it. And I trust that. I trust that I'm not innately a terrible person. I trust that my impulses aren't bad, you know? And it's a really nice thing to feel. I'm also letting myself have fun. A lot of my fun, yesterday I was on the phone with a friend and I was talking about this. I was like, I'm trying to decide why I'm having fun about things. And this is so me analyzing how to have fun, me sucking the fun out of fun by analyzing it. But that is me, I don't let myself just have fun. I don't let myself let loose. I don't let myself just exist. And I am trying to let myself just have fun and not worry so much all the time about the why, the perfection. One of the things is karaoke. I love karaoke, but I think at one point, instead of loving karaoke, I just loved singing. And there is a difference. And I do love singing, but I would take my love of singing to karaoke and think that it was the karaoke I loved. But it turned out I loved the singing because I wanted to be perfect whenever I sang. So if I didn't sing a song perfectly, I'd get really, really upset and frustrated with myself and then be like, the audience probably thinks I'm a terrible person and that, I shouldn't even be on the stage. Yo, this is karaoke. They're all drunk as hell. They don't care. And to be honest, this goes back to just trusting myself. Yeah, I'm not going to sing every song perfectly, but I have to just trust I'm a good singer, okay? At some point, you just have to go, girl, you got it. Just go do it, and I just let myself go to karaoke, and I sang songs that I would never, if somebody was like, I need you to create a set list today, I would never include these songs on my set list. But that was what I was before, was every song I sang at karaoke had to be a song that I felt like was perfect for me and perfect for my voice and perfect if I had to perform it in front of millions today, this would be the song. And it's karaoke. It's not that serious. And I let myself have fun. I let myself, I'm not very good at letting go fully just yet, but I let myself enjoy just getting up on stage and enjoying karaoke for what it is, just a fun activity. It's not about being perfect. It's not about showcasing my best vocals. I can do that every once in a while if I want to, but it doesn't have to be just that. Sometimes it's about singing songs that I sing in the shower or on the radio just for fun. And I am loving life right now. Life feels really, really good because I'm just letting go. I'm just existing. And I don't know if this is just how 30 is, if this is just what it is for your brain to be fully developed. But, oh my God, I did not think my brain could ever be clearer. Because now that my brain is so clear, I'm also able to, I feel like, make decisions in ways that I have never been able to do before. Because I'm not so preoccupied with all the what ifs. Most of my decisions at this point are based upon what is going to be the best thing for me? And even though it might hurt somebody else right now, it'll be the best thing for them long term. If these decisions are, based around other people. But for the most part, most of my decisions, at least right now, are based around me. Okay. And it doesn't have to be some big freaking thing. Everything for me was big. Everything for me was do or die. It was just, if you mess this up, everything around you is going to crumble. And a lot of that does stem back from, just being a youth and feeling like I messed up. It was a complete, utter meltdown. I love my parents and I have a great relationship with my parents now. But when I was a kid, I felt like I could not do something wrong without it being, a dishonor on your family moment, or, what about those guys? What about me? Did you ever think about us? And it deterred me from doing a lot of the things that felt right for me, that felt like they were true to me. Because a lot of the decisions that I made as a kid that were maybe not favorable to my parents I wasn't thinking about them, to be honest, and not in a bad way, but I wasn't thinking about them. I was thinking about the stuff that I wanted. Like pursuing music was something that I wanted. I wasn't thinking about them. I wasn't thinking about, how am I going to, make sure that they don't have to pay for me forever? I wasn't thinking about them. Now, should I have? Yes. But I'm sure at some point as I got older, I would have figured that stuff out because I would have been pursuing something that is worth it for me. I stand by the fact, like, once again, referencing last week's episode, one of the moments that I felt my happiest in that cloud of depression was when I was homeless, because everything that I was doing in that point was for me. And it was for my own happiness. And even though I wasn't living in the ideal situation, everything around me was my own life. And I got to hang around whoever I wanted to. The people that were around me were people that wanted to hang around me. All of my decisions were just they were authentic and they felt good. And when I was a kid deciding that I wanted to do music, I was thinking, I just want to do music. I'm good at it. I'm talented. I will put in the work and I will do that. And I wasn't thinking about, if my parents would have to support me through it. But also, I know now that if I had started to pursue music, I probably would have waitressed. I probably would have done things to make sure that they wouldn't have had to support me, because I just loved music that much. Just like I loved my freedom that much, And I'm at a point now where I'm just kind of like, I'm going to do things that make me happy, because I know that it is so much better to sacrifice some things for my greater happiness, some things that maybe other people don't agree with. It's better to sacrifice those things than to be living a life that maybe other people are happy with, but I am ultimately not happy with. Because at the end of the day, this is my life, And I don't really exactly remember why I got on that tangent. Oh, because I'm free. I am free. My brain is free. And I'm just so clear and level-headed. And I just feel really freaking great. I started going to the gym. Y'all. I started going to the gym. And this is so embarrassing. I am weak as all hell. I cannot even do 15 deep lunges, okay? I am so weak. And I am in pain. I'm sitting on a stool right now, and I'm almost forced to just sit here because every single time I go to get up, I literally sound like a grandma. I cannot stand up like a normal person. I am in so much pain, but I'm having a lot of fun. Oh, and yes, you should not be in pain as much as I am. I realize now that I should be stretching not just after I do the exercises, but before. When I say I have zero knowledge, I mean I have zero knowledge. So I will now be stretching beforehand and after the gym. Just to give you a little closure, just in case you're like, why the heck is she in so much pain? Yeah, it's because I didn't stretch beforehand. But I feel so good. And I know that going to the gym is helping me feel great in my body. Obviously, I've only been going to the gym about 2-3 weeks now, so there isn't much in the way of physical body changes, but my confidence feels good because it makes me feel really, really good to achieve things. Okay. Speaking of which, does anybody else have, especially girls, like maybe a learned helplessness? Like, that it is better for you to sometimes pretend to not be able to do something, like open a jar, just so you could boost the ego of other people. Because I realized that so much of my existence with people I used to do it with men because I had daddy issues, but now with women, because that's what I am into, I've like learned this idea that like I had to make myself smaller, even physically. Mind you, I'm a large woman, okay? Like in proportion, I am 5'10". I'm quite big and stocky. You're going to notice very soon while I'm going to the gym, like, oh, shoot, her arms are getting pretty, because I put on muscle pretty easily. Like, I am just a big person. I had learned to make myself very, very tiny and to almost feign like I can't do stuff for other people's approval and praise and, for their love. And like, gross, because I actually am so capable. I can play baseball. I can hit balls, y'all. And that seems so uncharacteristic to a lot of people because I've never touted myself as like an athlete, because I've never thought that I could be an athlete, because I've always been considered a girlier girl after like, ninth grade or something. But I could be athletic and like be good at the athletics, not just like participate, but like actually be good at it. And it's such a good feeling to know, like, I am not a helpless little fucking baby bird. I am a very capable being, and I can get shit done when need to, because that's who I've always wanted to be anyway. That's always my ideal version of myself, was somebody who's very capable, somebody who can get stuff done, and I wanted to be every woman, man. Chaka Khan. I'm every woman. It's Anjuli. Like, that was like what I was, that was my goal in life. That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to, have it all. I wanted to be the mogul. I wanted to be the mother. I wanted to be the wife. I wanted to be the sister. I wanted to be the ultimate person. And realizing that, because so much of my personality was based on me not being able to do stuff, realizing I can do stuff is so freaking good. So going to the gym and like realizing like, yeah, you know what? I'm in a lot of pain after 15 deep lunges, but I did 15 deep lunges. Okay. I can hit that baseball so many freaking times. All right. And I don't know how I do it, to be honest, but I be doing it. I'm coordinated enough to do it. And I feel good knowing that. I feel good knowing that I can do things, because it just makes me feel even more confident in me going out into the world and pursuing the shit that I want. I'm also on like a mini strike with the online world, because I love that I have had followers for years. Love it. Love that people think my content is really, really good. Don't love that I occasionally get a DM or I get a message that's like, you've been on here for so long and you create content that's even better than some of the people with like thousands of followers. Why don't you have thousands of followers? Girl, I don't know. Okay. And it's aggravating for me because I get paid $0 for most of the stuff I do. And then when I try to negotiate pay with people, they don't want to pay me for it. And I don't know if it's just something I'm doing wrong. I don't know. But it's very aggravating for me as a creative. And so I've gone on a little mini strike where I'm pretty much like, I'm just going to do whatever the heck I want to do online. And I don't care if it's the best quality all the time. I made a little TikTok about like white people and white men and their freaking podcast, and they just be saying whatever and have the audacity. And I'm letting myself have some audacity because I am not getting paid enough to stress myself out over what's happening on the internet. I am just not. And maybe that means I have to find a new career avenue, or maybe it means I'm on the precipice of something new. Who knows? But like, I don't have the same kind of care that I used to have. All I care about at this point is doing what makes me happy. And honestly, the connections I have with my true loves. All right. And when I say followers, it doesn't mean people that just like follow me, but then like my loves. And you know who you are. You know who you are. You're on my internet space. We DM, we message, you comment. Like, you are involved in my life. You sometimes send me photos of you in your life. You send me voice notes. You remind me that in this internet sphere where I'm really not, I will say it straight up, I'm an extremely underrated creator. In a space like that, you remind me that it doesn't even matter, because we've created a community here that feels so freaking good. And that's all I care about. All I care about is really our community. And yes, it would be nice for me to get some recognition and to get paid for my work, because, man, I'm literally, this dress, how old is this dress? This dress is like 6-7 years old. And I'm not saying anything about clothes being old, but I am saying I have not bought new clothes for myself in over 3 or 4 years, because I literally cannot afford it. And we've seen my body has changed, which is why you do not get a lot of outfit pictures anymore. It's because I don't fit anything anymore. I cannot afford to get myself new clothes. It would be nice to get paid for the amount of work that I do online. But you know what? I love my community. And I don't ever want to lose my community, because my community was there for me even while I don't have money. My community was there for me while I was in the trenches. My community has been there for me. My community has evolved with me. I've seen my community grow up. My community has seen me grow up. And I don't want to lose any of that, because I truly don't know, what I would do without y'all. So, but I am on a mini strike. So if you see my content just kind of being all over the place, it's because I'm not getting paid, okay? And until I start getting paid for stuff, I'm just going to do whatever the heck I want, okay? And I guess that comes to this podcast, because I didn't know what I was going to do with this podcast. I just knew that I had a vision. Like I said, I wanted a place where we could all get together. But I started off thinking, like, I need to make things that are searchable. I started off in my analytical mind, right? But now I'm realizing, one of the greatest messages that I got was, it felt like when somebody was listening to this podcast, it felt like they were just listening to a friend just talk, and they got to relate. And like, that's all I want. That is all I want. Because, man, what I would have given to just I love phone calls. I know it's like a stereotype that like millennials and Gen Z don't like phone calls. I love phone calls. I love being able to just talk, to put in some AirPods and then just walk around my house and talk to the bestie and do it. I will have literally 5-hour-long conversations. And it's just me and my friend just talking, chatting. You know who you are, Banna. But it's just chatting. It's just talking. And that's what I want. I want this to feel like we are friends, because, man, you've been with me through everything. I thought I was going to have to write a rest in peace post about myself, okay? Like, we have been through everything together, and we are friends to a degree. I don't want to encourage too much of a parasocial thing happening here, because I know those are very real and those are very terrifying, but like, there is somewhat of a relationship. And even if I don't know all of you necessarily on an individual level, as a collective, I do feel like I know you. And I know to hell you know me to some degree. And it feels nice to know that this podcast can offer, a friend, offer some company, offer some community to somebody else. It makes me feel really good, because that's all I wanted. And that is why I listen to podcasts. I listen to podcasts because I could turn on music. I could always turn on music, but I choose podcasts because I want to feel close to somebody for a second. I want to feel like I know what's going on in somebody's head. I want to feel like I know somebody else's life. I want to get out of my own life. I want to feel like I can maybe relate. I just want intimacy with somebody else. And to get out of my own shit for a second, even if there's a couple of times in the podcast that I'm listening, I'm going, oh, that reminds me of my shit. It is so much different than when you're just constantly stewing in your own head, when you're constantly stewing in your own brain. And I'm so glad that this is a thing. And, I don't know what this is going to look like week to week 2 week. I don't know yet. I'm still figuring things out. This is still early in the process, but I do enjoy how last week went. And honestly, I think I kind of enjoy how this week is going too. And I love myself right now. Okay. Okay. I love myself right now. And I want to share. I just want to share. Is it oversharing? This podcast is called Personally Yours. Is there really too much oversharing to be said on Personally Yours podcast? Also, speaking of oversharing, I made a post asking for all the hot ladies to slide into my DMs. Why only get 2? Are you guys scared? Do you think I'm going to eat you? Okay. I think that's a good place to end the podcast. I did not mean to end it on such a high note. All right. I might eat you. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next week, I absolutely love and adore each and every single one of you. And goodbye.